Captain Jake Morrison floated in the maintenance bay of Guardian 7, watching Earth turn slowly beneath him through the thick glass window. The orbital platform had been his home for 6 months now, and he still found the view incredible. Blue oceans and white clouds painted the planet in colors that no photograph could capture properly. Jake adjusted his toolkit and moved back to the communications array he was fixing. The morning had started like any other. Coffee from a pouch, breakfast bars that tasted like cardboard, and a long list of repairs to complete. Guardian 7 was officially listed as a research station in all public records. Scientists came and went, conducting experiments on crystal growth and protein synthesis. What those records did not mention was the heavily shielded lower levels or the curious fact that the station's power output was 10 times higher than any research facility needed. Jake was tightening a loose connection when his helmet radio crackled. To life. Guardian 7, this is Houston Control. We're seeing some unusual readings on our deep space monitors. Are you picking up anything on your sensors? Jake pushed off from the wall and drifted toward the sensor station. The screen showed the usual collection of space debris, communication satellites, and the International Space Station. Everything looked normal until he switched to the long-range display. Dozens of objects were moving in formation beyond the moon, and they were getting closer. Houston, I'm seeing multiple contacts approaching from lunar orbit. They're moving in a tight formation, and they're big. The voice from Houston sounded worried. Copy that, Guardian 7. We're tracking them. 2. Stand by for instructions. Jake watched the objects grow larger on his screen. They had a strange design, nothing like the blocky shapes of human spacecraft. These vessels were smooth and curved, almost organic looking. As they came closer, Jake could see weapon ports and what looked like shield generators glowing along. Their hulls. War Commander Thexanala stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the small blue planet ahead. His intelligence report said the humans were a young species, barely capable of reaching their own moon. Their orbital infrastructure was primitive, consisting mainly of communication satellites and a few research stations. This would be an easy conquest. Commander, his sensor officer reported, we're detecting approximately 200 artificial objects in orbit around the planet. Most appear to be simple satellites, but there are several larger structures. Thexanala nodded. Exactly as our scouts reported, these humans have barely left their homeworld. Begin the attack sequence. The Zephyrian fleet consisted of 300 ships, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their weapons could crack continents, and their shields could deflect the most powerful nuclear weapons. Thexanala had conquered 17 worlds with smaller fleets. Prepare. The pulse device, he ordered. 1 electromagnetic burst should disable their entire orbital network. After that, we'll demand their surrender. Jake Morrison was still watching the approaching fleet when his screen suddenly went blank. A massive electromagnetic pulse had swept through the area, knocking out most of the station's systems. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red light. Guardian 7, do you copy? The voice from Houston was faint and filled with static. Houston, we've been hit by some kind of electromagnetic attack. Most of our systems are down. Jake worked frantically to restore power to the essential systems. The unknown vessels are definitely hostile. Dr. Alan Carter was conducting an experiment aboard the International Space Station when the pulse hit. Half the station's systems failed instantly, and the lights went out. Emergency batteries kicked in, but Carter knew they wouldn't last long. Earth. Control, this is the SS. We've suffered massive system failures. Something just hit us with an electromagnetic pulse. Carter floated to the window and looked out at the approaching alien ships. I can see the attacking vessels. They're unlike anything we've ever seen. The radio crackled with interference. ISS, this is Mission Control. We're tracking the hostile vessels. Can you maintain life support? Carter checked his instruments. Life support is running on backup power. We have maybe 6 hours before we lose atmosphere control. He paused, watching the alien ships move into attack formation. Tell my family I love them. If these things are hostile, we might not make it. Commander Lisa Hayes sat in the command center at NORAD, watching her screens fill with alerts. The electromagnetic pulse had damaged dozens of satellites and knocked out communication with several orbital facilities. Worst of all, they were receiving distress signals from the International Space Station and 3 research platforms. "Ma'am," her communications officer called out, "we're getting reports of casualties. The pulse caused life support failures on Research Platform Delta. They're reporting 12 dead." Lisa's jaw tightened. "Get me the president." And activate the emergency protocols. The aliens had made their first mistake. The electromagnetic pulse was designed to disable human technology, but it had also triggered something else. Deep in hidden facilities around the world, automated systems began to wake up. Systems that had been dormant for decades suddenly came online. Admiral Kate Sullivan was in her office at Space Command when the red phone rang. She knew what that meant. Before she picked it up, "Admiral Sullivan here." "Kate, this is the President. We're under attack. Unknown vessels have used some kind of electromagnetic weapon against our orbital assets. I'm authorizing Defense Protocol 7. Admiral Sullivan had hoped this day would never come, but she had prepared for it her entire career. "Understood. Mr. President, Defense Protocol 7 is now active." She hung up and pressed a button that she had never pressed before. Around the world, similar buttons were being pressed in hidden facilities. The real defense of Earth was about to begin. War Commander Thexanala watched with satisfaction as the human orbital network went dark. His pulse device had worked perfectly, disabling what appeared to be their entire space-based infrastructure. "Excellent," he said to his communications officer. "Open a channel to the planet. It's time to demand their surrender." The transmission went out on all frequencies in the human language his computers had decoded. "People of Earth, your orbital defenses have been destroyed. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally, or we will begin destroying your cities. You cannot resist us." But even as Thexanala spoke, his sensor officer was frowning at his displays. "Commander, I'm detecting some unusual energy signatures. They appear to be coming from locations where we previously detected no artificial objects." Thexanala moved to look at the sensor display. "Explain." "Sir, our sensors are showing power sources activating in areas of space that appeared empty. Before our attack, the energy signatures are ... significant." For the first time since beginning the attack, Thexanala felt a flicker of uncertainty. "Continue monitoring, and prepare for the possibility that these humans are more resourceful than our intelligence suggested." The hour was almost up, and Earth had not surrendered. But something else was happening, something that would change everything. Thexanala thought he knew about the small blue planet and its inhabitants. Admiral Kate Sullivan walked quickly through the corridors of the Space Command facility buried deep beneath Colorado. The electromagnetic pulse from the alien attack had done exactly what the enemy intended, knocking out most of Earth's visible orbital infrastructure. But it had also done something the aliens never expected. It had awakened systems that had been sleeping for 30 years. "Status report," she demanded as she entered the main command center. Colonel Sam Rodriguez looked up from his console. "Ma'am, Defense Protocol 7 is fully active. We're receiving automated signals from installations throughout the solar system. The pulse triggered every dormant system we have." Kate nodded grimly. "How many facilities are coming online?" 47 deep space installations, 12 asteroid belt platforms, and 23 outer system defensive positions, plus the hidden facilities in Earth orbit that survived the pulse. Kate allowed herself a small smile. The aliens had no idea what they had just activated. For decades, humanity had been building a secret network of military installations disguised as research stations, mining operations, and communication relays. The electromagnetic pulse that was meant to blind Earth had instead switched on humanity's true defensive capabilities. Major Chris Bennett was checking his morning reports aboard Fortress Alpha when every alarm in the facility started screaming. The installation had been his home for 2 years, officially listed as a deep space research station studying cosmic radiation. In reality, Fortress Alpha was a heavily armed military outpost positioned beyond the moon, equipped with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. "What's happening?" Bennett asked his communications officer. "Sir, we're receiving an automated activation signal from Earth. Defense Protocol 7 is active. We're under attack." Bennett had drilled for this moment countless times, but he never thought it would actually happen. "Bring all systems online. I want full power to weapons and shields in 10 minutes. Around him, the facility transformed. Walls slid back to reveal weapon emplacements. Fake research equipment moved aside to expose massive generators. The innocent-looking observatory dome opened to reveal a particle beam cannon capable of cutting through a battleship. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, "I'm detecting a large alien fleet in Earth orbit. They appear to be broadcasting surrender demands." Bennett looked at the tactical display. 300 enemy ships surrounded Earth, their weapons trained on the planet below. But they had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this exact scenario for decades. "Open a channel to all hidden installations," Bennett ordered. "It's time to show these aliens what we've really been building out here." Dr. Ben Wright was working in his laboratory at Cheyenne Mountain when the emergency alert reached him. As one of the leading experts on theoretical alien technology, he had spent years studying intercepted signals and crashed debris from previous encounters. Now it seemed all that preparation was about to pay off. "Dr. Wright," his assistant called. "Out. We're receiving data from the alien fleet. Our sensors are analyzing their technology right now." Wright hurried to his computer terminal. The screen showed detailed scans of the alien ships, their energy signatures, and their weapon systems. "Fascinating," he murmured. "Their technology is advanced, but it follows predictable patterns. Their shields operate on a specific frequency band." He worked quickly, analyzing the data. "Their defensive systems are designed to stop kinetic weapons and conventional energy beams, but they're vulnerable to electromagnetic interference in the upper frequency ranges." Wright picked up his secure phone and dialed Admiral Sullivan's direct line. "Admiral, this is Dr. Wright. I've analyzed the alien technology. I know how to hurt them." Captain Nicole Price had been commanding the battleship Retribution for 3 years, but no one on Earth knew her ship existed. Hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid, Retribution was humanity's most powerful warship, equipped with experimental weapons that had never been tested in combat. "Captain," her weapons officer reported, "all systems are online. The main particle cannon is charging and will be ready to fire in 15 minutes. Price studied the tactical display showing the alien fleet. "How many ships are we looking at?" 300 confirmed vessels, Captain. They're maintaining a standard siege formation around Earth. Price had trained for this moment her entire career. Retribution was designed to fight against overwhelming odds, built with technology that was decades ahead of anything the public knew about. Her ship alone carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "Begin target acquisition," she ordered. "Select the largest vessel as our primary target. When we fire, I want that first shot to send a message." Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Barnes was at his post near Jupiter when the activation signal arrived. His facility was officially listed as a deep space communications relay, but in reality it housed the most sophisticated electronic warfare equipment humanity had ever built. From his position in the outer system, Barnes could jam communications and disrupt enemy systems across half the solar system. "Colonel," his technician reported, "we're detecting alien communication traffic. They're using a fairly simple encryption system." Barnes smiled. "Begin signal analysis. I want to know everything they're saying to each other, and prepare the jamming systems. When the shooting starts, I want those ships deaf and blind." The alien fleet had made a critical error. They had assumed that Earth's orbital infrastructure was all humanity had. They never considered that a species capable of space travel might have built hidden installations throughout their solar system. War. Commander Thexanala was becoming increasingly nervous as his sensors detected more and more energy signatures from previously empty locations. His intelligence reports had clearly been wrong about human capabilities. "Commander," his sensor officer called out, "we're detecting massive power sources activating throughout this system. There are installations on the far side of their moon, in the asteroid belt, and near the outer planets." The Sanala studied the tactical display. Red dots were appearing all over the solar system, each one representing a facility that his scouts had missed. "How many installations are we detecting?" "Over 80 confirmed facilities, sir. And the energy signatures suggest they're all military. Installations, not research stations?" Dexanala felt his confidence wavering. His fleet was powerful, but it was designed to fight planetary defenses, not a network of military installations spread across an entire solar system. "Sir," his communications officer interrupted, "we're detecting some kind of interference with our communications array. Someone is trying to jam our signals." Admiral Sullivan watched the tactical display in her command center as humanity's hidden network came fully online. For 30 years, Earth had been preparing for this moment. Every hidden installation, every secret weapon, every defensive system had been built for one purpose: to protect humanity from exactly this kind of attack. "Ma'am," Colonel Rodriguez reported, "all installations are reporting ready status." "We have full coverage of the solar system," Sullivan nodded. "Open a channel to all commanders. It's time to show these aliens that they picked the wrong species to mess with." The aliens had expected to find a primitive world with basic orbital defenses. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant that had been preparing for war among the stars for decades. "Lieutenant Commander Amy," Johnson guided her stealth reconnaissance ship through the debris field where the International Space Station had once orbited. The small vessel looked like nothing more than a piece of space junk, but it was actually one of humanity's most advanced spy ships. Her mission was simple: get close to the alien fleet and gather intelligence. "Control, this is Ghost Rider," she whispered into her radio. "I'm approaching the enemy formation. They don't seem to be detecting me." The alien ships were massive, each one the size of a small city. Amy could see weapon ports along their hulls and strange energy fields that probably served as shields. But there was something odd about their design. The ships looked powerful, but they also looked old, as if they were using technology that hadn't changed in centuries. "Ghost Rider, this is Control," came the reply from Admiral Sullivan's command center. "What can you tell us about their defensive systems?" Amy adjusted her sensors to get a better look at the nearest alien vessel. "Their shields appear to be energy-based, probably designed to stop missiles and energy weapons. I'm detecting standard electromagnetic frequencies. These ships are advanced, but they're not using anything we haven't seen before." Dr. Ben Wright was working frantically in his laboratory, analyzing every piece of data that came in from Amy's reconnaissance mission. The alien technology was impressive, but it followed patterns that human scientists had predicted years ago. More importantly, it had weaknesses that could be exploited. "Admiral," Wright said into his secure phone, "I've got good news and bad news. The bad news is that their fleet is powerful enough to destroy every major city on Earth. The good news is that their technology has a critical flaw." Admiral Sullivan's voice crackled through the speaker. "What kind of flaw?" "Their shields operate on a narrow frequency band. They're designed to stop conventional weapons, but they're vulnerable to electromagnetic interference at specific wavelengths. If we can hit them with the right frequency, their shields will collapse." Wright pulled up a technical diagram on his computer screen. "It's like they've never fought an enemy that used electronic warfare. Their defensive systems are purely physical." "Captain." Nicole Price listened to Dr. Wright's analysis from her position aboard the hidden battleship Retribution. Her ship's main weapon was an experimental particle cannon that could be tuned to any electromagnetic frequency. If Wright was correct, she could punch through the alien shields with a single shot. "Weapons officer," Price ordered, "adjust the particle cannon to frequency 247.8 terahertz. That should be right in the middle of their shield's vulnerable range." Her weapons officer looked puzzled. Captain, that's not a standard combat frequency. Price smiled grimly. Nothing about this battle is going to be standard. These aliens have never fought humans before. They don't know what we're capable of. The main display showed the alien fleet maintaining their siege formation around Earth. 300 ships, each one a threat to millions of lives. But Price's ship had been designed specifically to fight against overwhelming odds, war. Commander Thexanala was studying the tactical display when his sensor officer made a disturbing report. Commander, we're detecting some kind of reconnaissance activity. There appears to be a small vessel moving through the debris field near our position. Thexanala frowned. I thought we destroyed all their spacecraft with the electromagnetic pulse. We did, sir. But this vessel appears to be heavily shielded. It's possible it survived the pulse, or it wasn't in the area when we attacked. Thexanala felt a growing sense of unease. His intelligence reports had indicated that humans were a primitive species with basic space technology. But everything he was seeing suggested otherwise. The energy signatures his sensors were detecting throughout the solar system, the reconnaissance vessel that had somehow survived his attack, and now the fact that the humans had not surrendered despite his overwhelming superiority. Sir, his communications officer interrupted, we're still unable to establish clear communication with our outer patrol ships. Something is interfering with our signals. Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Barnes watched the alien communication traffic from his position near Jupiter. His electronic warfare systems were working perfectly, jamming the enemy's long-range communications and making it impossible for them to coordinate their fleet effectively. Colonel, his technician reported, we've successfully intercepted and decoded their communication protocols. They're using a fairly basic encryption system. Barnes studied the intercepted messages. The aliens were becoming increasingly frustrated as their communication systems failed. Their fleet was powerful, but it was designed to fight in formation. Without proper communication, they were just individual ships scattered around Earth. Begin targeted jamming, Barnes ordered. I want to isolate their command ship from the rest of the fleet. Make it impossible for them to coordinate their attack. Major Chris Bennett was preparing his weapon systems aboard Fortress Alpha when he received new orders from Admiral Sullivan. His installation was equipped with long-range missiles that could strike targets anywhere in the solar system. All stations, this is Admiral Sullivan, came the voice over the secure channel. We're about to begin our counterattack. Each installation has been assigned specific targets. When I give the signal, we hit them with everything we have. Bennett looked at his tactical display. His target was one of the larger alien vessels, a ship that appeared to be some kind of carrier. The missile he was preparing to launch carried an experimental warhead designed to disrupt electronic systems. Weapons! Officer, Bennett ordered. Prepare Missile Bay 1 for launch. Target the enemy carrier designated Alpha 7. Amy Johnson was still gathering intelligence when she noticed something important. The alien ships were beginning to separate, moving away from their tight formation. It looked like they were having trouble communicating with each other. Control. This is Ghost Rider, she reported. The enemy fleet is breaking formation. They appear to be having communication problems. Admiral Sullivan's voice came back immediately. Confirmed, Ghost Rider. Our electronic warfare systems are working. Continue your reconnaissance. Amy moved her ship closer to the alien command vessel. Through her sensors, she could see the bridge of the enemy ship, where several alien figures were moving around frantically. They were clearly frustrated and confused. Control, I'm observing the enemy command ship. They appear to be experiencing significant technical difficulties. This might be our chance. Dr. Wright was monitoring the alien fleet's energy signatures when he noticed something crucial. Admiral, the enemy shields are fluctuating. Their power systems are being affected by our jamming. If we attack now, their defensive systems will be at minimum effectiveness. Admiral Sullivan looked at the tactical display showing humanity's hidden installations spread throughout the solar system. Every weapon was charged and ready. Every commander was waiting for her signal. All stations. This is Admiral Sullivan. she announced. Operation Celestial Hammer is now active. Show these aliens what happens when they attack Earth. War Commander Thexanala was beginning to realize that his easy conquest was turning into something very different. The humans had not surrendered. His communications were failing, and his sensors were detecting military installations throughout the solar system. For the first time in his career, Thexanala was facing an enemy that had been preparing for his arrival. General Paul Davis stood in the main command center at Space Command, watching the tactical display that showed every hidden installation across the solar system. For 30 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. Now it was time to show the aliens what Earth could really do. All stations report ready, General, Colonel Rodriguez announced. Operation Celestial Hammer is prepared to begin. Davis nodded and picked up the secure communicator. This is General Davis to all installations. The enemy attacked our home. They killed our people. They thought we were weak. Today we proved them wrong. Operation Celestial Hammer is now active, all units weapons free. Captain Tony Mitchell was waiting in the launch bay of Asteroid Base Delta when the order came through. His squadron of 12 advanced fighters had been hidden inside the hollowed-out asteroid for 5 years, waiting for a moment like this. The ships looked like nothing the aliens had ever seen, built with technology that was decades ahead of anything humanity had revealed to the world. Phoenix Squadron, this is Phoenix Leader, Mitchell announced to his pilots. We're going hunting. Remember, these ships have never fought human fighters before. Use that advantage. The asteroid surface opened like a flower, revealing the launch bay hidden inside. Mitchell's fighters shot out into space, their stealth systems making them nearly invisible to enemy sensors. Each ship carried weapons designed specifically to exploit the weaknesses Dr. Wright had discovered in alien technology. Phoenix Leader, this is Phoenix 2, came the voice of his wingman. I'm detecting the enemy fleet at coordinates 127 Mark 85. They still appear to be in formation. Mitchell smiled inside his helmet, not for long. Phoenix Squadron, begin attack run. Target their communication arrays first. Captain Nicole Price watched her weapons display as the particle cannon reached full power. The experimental weapon had never been fired in combat, but computer simulations showed it could punch through the alien shields with a single shot. Captain, her weapons officer reported, particle cannon is fully charged and ready to fire. Target locked on the enemy command ship. Price studied the tactical display. The alien command vessel was the largest ship in their fleet, probably carrying their top commanders. Destroying it would throw their entire force into chaos. Fire when ready, she ordered. The particle cannon fired with a brilliant flash of light. That could be seen from Earth. The beam traveled at nearly the speed of light, striking the alien command ship's shields with devastating force. The shield collapsed instantly, just as Dr. Wright had predicted, and the beam tore through the ship's hull. Direct hit, the weapons officer announced. Enemy command ship is showing massive damage. Their shields are down. War Commander Thexanala was thrown to the floor as his ship shuddered under the impact. Emergency lights flickered on as the main power systems failed. Around him, his bridge crew was struggling to restore control. Report, he demanded, pulling himself back to his feet. Sir, we've been hit by some kind of particle beam. Our shields collapsed completely. We have hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. Thexanala looked at his tactical display in shock. The weapon that had hit his ship had come from beyond the moon, from an installation that his sensors had never detected. How many ships are attacking us? Unknown, sir. Our sensors are being jammed. We're detecting weapons fire from multiple locations throughout the system. Commander Rachel Stone was coordinating the attack from her position aboard Orbital Platform 7. The installation had been disguised as a space debris monitoring station, but in reality it housed some of humanity's most powerful weapons. Target acquired, her weapons officer announced. Enemy destroyer at range 50,000 kilometers. Stone watched the tactical display as her missiles launched toward the alien ship. The missiles were designed to overwhelm enemy defenses with multiple warheads and electronic countermeasures. Fire. All tubes. Let's see how they handle a full spread. The missiles struck the alien destroyer with devastating effect. The ship's shields flickered and died under the assault, and secondary explosions rippled along its hull. Direct hit, the weapons officer reported. Enemy ship is dead in space. Tony Mitchell led his fighter squadron through the alien fleet like wolves among sheep. The enemy ships were powerful, but they were designed to fight other capital ships, not small, fast fighters that could strike and disappear. Phoenix 2, take your flight and hit those communication arrays, Mitchell ordered. Phoenix 3, you're with me. We're going after their weapon systems. The fighters moved through the alien formation, their weapons targeting the vulnerable points that Dr. Wright had identified. Each attack was precise and devastating, designed to disable rather than destroy. Phoenix Leader, this is Phoenix 4, came an excited voice. I just took out a whole weapons cluster with one shot. These shields are useless against our weapons. Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Barnes was enjoying himself at his electronic warfare station near Jupiter. His jamming systems were working perfectly, making it impossible for the aliens to coordinate their defense. Colonel, his technician reported, we're intercepting panic communications from the enemy fleet. They can't figure out where our attacks are coming from. Barnes smiled as he listened to the intercepted alien communications. They were clearly terrified and confused, unable to understand how a primitive species had managed to surround their entire fleet. Increase jamming power, he ordered. I want them completely blind. Major Chris Bennett watched his long-range missiles streak toward their targets from his position on Fortress Alpha. Each missile carried a warhead designed to disrupt alien electronics, turning their own technology against them. Impact in 30 seconds, his weapons officer announced. Bennett watched the missiles hit their targets with perfect precision. The alien ships that were struck suffered immediate system failures, their weapons and shields going offline as their electronics were scrambled. Excellent shooting, Bennett said. Reload and select new targets. War Commander Thexanala was trying to restore communication with his fleet when another massive explosion rocked his damaged ship. Through his viewscreen, he could see other vessels in his fleet under attack from weapons that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Sir, his tactical officer reported, we're detecting at least 40 separate attack points. The humans have military installations throughout their entire solar system. Thexanala stared at the tactical display in disbelief. His intelligence reports had said nothing about a network of military installations. His scouts had detected only research stations and communication satellites. How could we have missed this? He demanded. Sir, it appears the humans deliberately hid their military capabilities. Many of these installations were disguised as civilian facilities. General Davis watched the battle unfold from his command center. The alien fleet was in chaos, their formation broken and their ships scattered. Humanity's hidden network was working exactly as planned. Sir, Colonel Rodriguez reported, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 alien vessels. The enemy fleet is falling apart, Davis nodded grimly. Continue the attack. They came here to conquer us. Let them learn what that really costs. War Commander Thexanala watched in horror as another of his ships exploded under human weapons fire. His mighty fleet of 300 vessels had been reduced to fewer than 100 operational ships in less than 2 hours. The humans were not the primitive species his intelligence reports had described. They were something far more dangerous. Sir, his communications officer called out desperately, we're receiving surrender demands from the human fleet. They want us to power down our weapons and prepare to be boarded. Thexanala stared at the tactical display. Human ships were appearing from every direction, emerging from hiding places throughout the solar system. Some looked like asteroids until they opened weapon ports. Others had been disguised as space debris. The humans had built an entire military network in secret, and his fleet had walked straight into their trap. Send a message to the human commanders, Thexanala said quietly. Tell them I wish to discuss terms. Captain Maria Santos received the alien surrender request aboard her command ship Vigilance. The vessel had been hidden inside a fake comet for 8 years, waiting for exactly this moment. Now she found herself accepting the surrender of an alien fleet that had come to conquer Earth. "This is Captain Santos of the Earth Defense Force," she transmitted to the alien commander. "You attacked our world without provocation. You killed our people. Why should we accept your surrender?" The alien response came quickly. "Captain Santos, I am War Commander Thexanala. My fleet came here believing your species was primitive and defenseless. We were clearly wrong. I offer the surrender of my remaining ships in exchange for the lives of my crews." Santos looked around her bridge at the faces of her officers. They had trained for this moment their entire careers, but none of them had expected it to happen so quickly or so decisively. "Commander Thexanala, you will order all your ships to power down their weapons and surrender immediately. Any ship that attempts to flee or fight will be destroyed." Admiral Henry Clark was reviewing the battle reports when the surrender came through. The hidden military network had performed even better than the most optimistic projections. Not a single human installation had been destroyed, while the alien fleet was effectively eliminated as a fighting force. "Admiral," Colonel Rodriguez reported, "we're receiving surrender signals from 93 alien vessels. The remaining ships appear to be too damaged to continue fighting." Clark nodded slowly. "Begin rescue operations for the damaged ships. We need prisoners for interrogation, and we need to understand their technology." Dr. Lisa Park was already preparing for the most important first contact situation in human history. As Earth's leading expert on xenobiology and alien cultures, she would be responsible for establishing communication protocols with the surrendering aliens. "Dr. Park," Admiral Clark's voice came through her communicator, "I need you aboard the Vigilance immediately. We're about to make history." Park gathered her translation equipment and research files. Everything humanity knew about alien cultures had been theoretical until now. In a few hours, she would be face-to-face with actual extraterrestrial beings. War. Commander Thexanala was escorted aboard the human command ship by soldiers wearing advanced armor that he had never seen before. The humans who met him were professional and disciplined. Nothing like the primitive barbarians his intelligence reports had described. Captain Santos studied the alien commander carefully. He was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. Despite his defeat, he carried himself with dignity. "Commander Thexanala," Santos said formally, "I am Captain Maria Santos. You are now a prisoner of the Earth Defense Force." Thexanala bowed his head slightly. "Captain Santos, I accept responsibility for the attack on your world. But I must ask you to spare my crews. They were following my orders." Dr. Park stepped forward. "Commander, my name is Dr. Lisa Park. I would like to understand why your people attacked us without attempting communication first." Thexanala looked at the human scientist with something approaching respect. "Dr. Park, my people are called the Zephyrians. We have conquered 17 worlds over the past century. Our scouts reported that Earth was inhabited by a primitive species that had barely reached its own moon. We expected an easy conquest." Park nodded thoughtfully. "Your scouts were looking at our public space program. They never detected our military installations." "That is correct. We now understand that your species deliberately concealed its true capabilities. This suggests a level of strategic thinking that we did not expect from a young civilization." Colonel Ryan Foster was overseeing the processing of alien prisoners when he made an interesting discovery. Many of the alien crew members seemed relieved to be captured rather than fearful. "Dr. Park," he called over the communicator, "you might want to hear this. Some of the alien prisoners are asking for asylum. They don't want to return to their homeworld." Park hurried to the detention area where the alien prisoners were being held. Through the translation system, she began interviewing the asylum seekers. "Why do you not wish to return home?" she asked one of the aliens. The alien who identified himself as Science Officer Vextel looked nervous but determined. "Doctor, the Zephyrian Empire conquers worlds for resources and slaves. Many of us joined the military because we had no choice. We have seen what your people can do, and we would rather serve a civilization that fights to defend itself than one that fights to enslave others. Captain Emma Bell was preparing her ship for humanity's first interstellar mission. The aliens had revealed the location of their home world, and Earth's leaders had decided to send a diplomatic mission to establish formal relations with the Zephian Empire. "Captain," her navigation officer reported, "we've plotted a course to the Zephyrian homeworld. Journey time will be approximately 6 months using their navigation data." Bell studied the star charts that the aliens had provided. Humanity was about to take its first step into a galaxy full of other civilizations. The aliens' attack had revealed Earth's military capabilities to the universe, which meant that peaceful expansion was no longer an option. "Prepare the ship for departure," she ordered. "It's time to introduce ourselves to the galaxy." Admiral Clark was meeting with world leaders to discuss the implications of the alien attack. The secret military network was no longer secret, and humanity's true capabilities were now known throughout the galaxy. "Ladies and gentlemen," Clark addressed, "the emergency session of the United Nations, the attack has changed everything. We can no longer pretend to be a peaceful species focused only on exploration. Every alien civilization in the galaxy now knows that Earth has military capabilities that exceed their own." The President of the United States leaned forward. "Admiral, what does this mean for our future?" "It means we need to be prepared for more attacks, but it also means we have an opportunity. The aliens who attacked us were part of an empire that conquers primitive worlds. They now know that Earth is not primitive, and neither is our military." Dr. Park was concluding her interviews with the alien commander when she learned something. "That changed everything. Commander Thexanala, you mentioned that your empire has conquered 17 worlds. Are there other species in the galaxy that have resisted your expansion?" Thexanala nodded slowly. "There are 3 other major powers in our region of the galaxy: the Hegemony, the Federation, and the Alliance. They have been fighting the Zephyrian Empire for decades." Park felt excitement building. "Commander, would these other powers be interested in establishing relations with Earth?" "Dr. Park, after what we have witnessed here, I believe every power in the galaxy will be very interested in establishing relations with Earth. Your species has demonstrated military capabilities that could shift the balance of power in our region." 6 months later, Captain Emma Bell's diplomatic mission reached the Zephyrian homeworld to find a very different reception than anyone had expected. The Zephyrian government, shaken by the complete defeat of their fleet, was eager to negotiate a peace treaty with Earth. The galaxy had learned that humanity was not a primitive species to be conquered, but a powerful civilization that had been quietly preparing for contact for decades. The electromagnetic pulse that was meant to blind Earth had instead awakened, a sleeping giant that would reshape the balance of power among the stars. As Bell stood on the bridge of her ship, looking out at the alien world below, she knew that humanity's journey into the galaxy was just beginning. The aliens had expected to find a weak species ripe for conquest. Instead, they had found Earth,